Good evening, YouTube. It is Monday, the 24th of July. I'm coming to the end of a very long day, as you can see from the light levels. But it's been a really nice day, from my point of view. Let me tell you all about it. Yesterday, I spent most of the day in my bed because I was feeling quite unwell, and I felt like I might cancel this morning's books job, but I felt that it was only a local job, so I may as well get out of bed and do it and then see how I felt afterwards. I really didn't sleep very well over the weekend, and I really didn't think I was going to be working today. I did rest a lot yesterday, and so I got up. The alarm was set for 6. I ended up getting up at 6:30. I left the house around about 7:10 to go to Peterborough for a pickup. As arranged on Friday. It was a local job from one side of Peterborough to the other side of Peterborough. It's a reasonably regular type of job. It's a plumber's merchant that supplies materials to new build development nearby. And these jobs often come up around the area. I'm sure they come up all over the place. I'm sure they're quite common everywhere. And so because it was only about 13 miles loaded, my bid was my minimum, which is £50, £50. And I did that job, picked up and then dropped off at the new build estate, got some help handballing off the 2 pallets, and then I had a decision to make. Would I go home and just have the rest of the day at home in bed, or would I look for more work? And you might remember that at the end of last week I had some jobs from my shipper that I work with going from Preston and Doncaster, and another shipper put a job up. I was finished about 9ish. Another shipper put a job up who I've used before from Boston going to Preston. And I just could not resist the idea of getting that job and then doing my Preston pickup today. And trying, if I could, to pick up, if there's 3 pickups, Preston, Blackburn and Manchester, and then dropping off at High Wycombe before 7 o'clock-ish. So I thought I'd try that. I bid £180 for a medium wheelbase job, and it was 170 miles from Boston to Preston. I got the job. And the problem I had was that I hadn't really taken any sandwiches with me for a couple of days, because I wasn't sure I was going to stay out. So I phoned my lovely partner, who prepared my sandwiches for me, and Boston was on the way back. I go past my home to go to Boston from Peterborough, so I was able to fit in getting to the Boston pickup slightly late, but I did tell she'd probably be there at 10 o'clock. It was due to be picked up at 10 to 10, 9:50, but I said I'd be there at 10, and they said that's fine. I ended up getting there with my stop off at 10:05. As always, the people I picked it up from are lovely, the forklift drivers are lovely. It was 3 pallets. I got them on, and I stopped off at home to pick up some food for a couple of days. So I made my way from Boston across to Preston, about a 3.5-hour journey, and I thought I'll keep an eye out. If I'm feeling rough, I'll change my plans. Otherwise, I'll just keep going and see how it goes today. At this point in time, I was feeling okay, and I felt that I could get on with the job to Preston. So I arrived, and I ended up tipping ended up tipping. I haven't got the time for it to be, but it would have been about 1 o'clock-ish, 1:30. And then I found out that I wasn't really anywhere near Preston. I was about 40 minutes from Preston. So I did make my way towards my first pickup. And then I made my way to Blackburn, and then to not Blackburn, Bolton. I knew it was right. So it was Preston, Bolton and Manchester. And then I picked them all up, and then at this point it was 5:30 by the time I finished that, and it was about 3.5 hours to get to High Wycombe from there, and I wouldn't have done it in time. So I knew I wouldn't have made the depot in time, so I made another decision at this point, which is the beauty and the flexibility of my work with this shipper. I thought it'd be much better for me to head across to Doncaster and do my second route, which was Doncaster and Leamington Spa. And the only reason I could do that is because the Manchester pickup had nothing to collect, and I thought, well, I'll go to Doncaster, see what's there. If I get a full van, then I can't do it all today, but if I don't get a full van, I'll try and get them all done. So I had my Preston, Bolton and Manchester route finished, and then I went to Doncaster, and there was only a small number of items there, wasn't as many as I thought there should be. So then I rang ahead and made my way towards Leamington Spa, and managed to pick up all of the items from those two routes today. So I'm now on my way to High Wycombe from Leamington Spa. I'm going to tramp in my van outside the depot, and then depending on how early I get up, get offloaded, and then do some jobs tomorrow. And my plan, I think, is this. I have got a couple of stops to pick up in central London with my shipper. I'm not going to do those first thing tomorrow. What I'm going to do tomorrow is aim to get unloaded by, say, 7:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, and then I'm going to do my London experiments tomorrow, where I'm just going to do jobs in and around London all day, just to see whether it is possible to make any money with a large van, because I don't think I'm going to be any slower than someone with a small van. I think there may be opportunities to make more money by doing more central London drop-offs, because of the congestion charge being charged over and over again. That may not work. I think that my theory is, if I'm close to the pickup point, I'm probably going to get the job, no matter what price I put in, within reason, obviously. I think the problem with the London jobs is if you've got to travel 5-10 miles, that's half an hour, it's an hour away. There's going to be someone closer than you. So I'm going to try and just have very few dead miles, just look where I am, pick up a job, go somewhere, look where I am, exactly where I am, and go somewhere around central London. I don't know if it's going to work. It's an experience. That's why it's an experiment. My concerns about it are that I might not get much time to do that, to do many jobs. In a normal day doing that, you probably end up doing 6 jobs, sort of short distances. But I think in London you might be doing 2 or 3, and maybe 4. So we'll see how it goes. And what I'll do, I think, is I will do a video for each job. I'll do a video to show me bidding, and then that I think it's quite useful to see what I'm looking for when I'm bidding, the prices I put in, what I think is important to me, and then I'll put in the video for my travel, to give my stats for that particular journey. So there'll be a video for each of my jobs tomorrow in London. I'll see how that goes down. It might be better, it might not work. I just want to try some different things. Right. So I'll give you my stats for today, and I suppose I do want to caveat a bit about what today. Today's been a bit unusual. It's not unique, because I do this sometimes. I've done a hell of a lot of hours of work today for no money today, and tomorrow I'm going to get a hell of a lot of money for very little time. So in that respect, looking at today's stats, comparing it to tomorrow's stats, is not going to make much sense because of the way I've done the work today. I've done a long day for not that much money today. Tomorrow I'm going to have a long day, but I'm going to have so much money, it's going to be ridiculous. I will tell you in this video the amounts of money I'm getting for the two jobs, because I've done them now. All I haven't done is delivered them. So for the Preston to Bolton to Manchester job, I think I would have told you it was £280, and that was for 202 miles loaded. But again, there's handballing in there, and it's done at a fair price for a large wheelbase van. And then the Doncaster to Leamington Spa job, which I've just finished, is 164 miles on the CX, and I'm getting £220 for it, 220. So that's £500 for those two routes that I'll get paid on my stats for tomorrow, but I've done pretty much all the work for them today. So bearing in mind that caveat, here are today's stats. So when I get to my drop-off point today and I tramp out, I will have worked 16 hours 20 minutes, and I'll round that down to 16 and a quarter hours when I do my hourly rate. I will have done 551 miles, 551 miles, and I filled up with fuel today, and my average fuel price for this week has gone up. It's 14.16 pence per mile. That means I will have spent on fuel £78.01 today, and my earnings today were the £50 local job in Peterborough and the £180 from Boston to Preston area, giving £230 as my total earnings for today. Therefore, my net earnings after fuel are £152, £152 today. Not that it actually means anything, but after business costs, my hourly rate today is £7.20. And then tomorrow it's going to be a ridiculously high number because I'm going to have today's work added to the money I've earned. But I've explained that. Right, that's that bit of the video done. I want to pause at this point and say a big thank you to my subscribers. I did lose 2 subscribers over the weekend. Went down from 101 to 99 this morning. And then I've gained 3 over the course of today. So up to 102 at the moment. So thank you very much for continuing to add to those numbers. Really, really grateful. I want to spend a bit of time talking about a particular thing today, which isn't necessarily directly related to what I've done today or what I do generally, but I think I've had a lot of time to think today, and I think a lot of what I want to say in these videos, there'll be, over time, there'll be a kind of thread that links them all together. And sometimes that thread will be very tenuous, sometimes it'll be very strong. And I think what I want to do with this is share things that I've learned about myself and work and life that I think is relevant to share. And I suppose it's relevant in my opinion, and obviously you may not share that opinion about everything I say. And obviously there's a caveat that what's relevant to you, I don't know what's relevant to you, so I'm just saying what I think is relevant to me. And if you keep listening, all very well. If you don't like it, all very well as well. It's not, you're going to like everything I say, or even agree with everything I say, but that's fine. Off the back of that, before I say the thing I'm going to say, I do find the comments I get, as I said before, really useful. And another reason today, I had a couple of comments which are more disagreeing with me, which I think is absolutely fine. And I think as long as you explain why you're disagreeing, I can sort of get a handle as to what your point is. And I think what that does is makes me think about my perspective again and a bit more clearly. And when I write a response in the comments, it means I've got to think about a bit more of the nuances behind the thing that I'm saying. And I find that really helpful. So even if the comment that you want to write is disagreeing with me, that's about the reason why I'm going to find it helpful. And we may end up being in a situation where we don't agree, but I think we'll have more things in common than not in common by the very nature of having these sort of videos and sharing them. I was talking a bit louder there because the rain was quite noisy. So I'm going to talk about the thing I want to talk about and bring it round a little bit at the end towards something a bit more relevant to what we do. And this is something that came off the back of when I talked about my attitude to work. And I was saying in that video that I think everyone has the right, if they want to do work that they find is interesting to them, engaging to them, and which pays them a fair salary, which enables them to live the life they need to live and to secure their future for them and their family. And when I was saying that, something came to mind that I didn't have time to talk about at the time, and I'll talk about it now. Unfortunately, it is raining quite hard. I'm not sure I'm going to have the time to wait for the rain to stop to carry on with the video. So we're just going to carry on talking. I have got a microphone on, so I'm hoping you are listening, able to hear this. And I'm talking a bit louder. So what I want to talk about is those people that find they can't do the work they want to do because they're restricted in some way because their bodies aren't working. What we would have called in the past disability. And I think that in a modern, civilised, industrialised country like our own, we shouldn't be accepting people with differing needs, differing abilities, having less access to fulfilling work. In the time that I've been alive, awareness of and acceptance of people with differing abilities has got better, but we've still got a long way to go. If I think about people that have lost limbs, they can now do much more than in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up. If you think about people who are very, very short, very, very tall, I wouldn't call that a disability, but society does make it hard for those people to live their life like everyone else does. And part of that is doing work. So my point is that we need a society to change how we operate our systems, our buildings, our workplaces, how we change how we earn money, how we live, so that it's adaptable to allow people with differing needs to have fulfilling lives. And I shouldn't think that is something that is controversial to say. And in terms of the world of work, I think that sometimes people can struggle to find the right job for them. And if you've got differing abilities that's out of the ordinary, it's even harder. I, for example, have an inability to see clearly. Without my glasses to help me, I could not do this job, which I love this job. So it's a simple fix, wearing glasses. That's only been available because of technology, and it's easy. It costs not very much for me to do that in society. But I have a differing physical ability that means I struggle with some aspects of living a normal life. But why should that mean I shouldn't have the right to live a normal life? I think the same thing applies to every other, what we used to call disability, or I refer to as differing abilities. We have a society that's built around people that can walk, have two arms, a certain height, a certain, I suppose, intellectual ability, intelligence. And I think that society has to change the physical elements to adapt to people who haven't got those same abilities as us. That was what I was thinking about when I was thinking about the word of work, about the right to do work. And then I'll take that logically to the next step. Well, I think we all kind of understand and can see someone's physical needs being different. But in my mind, it's a very short step to people's emotional needs or intellectual needs or spiritual needs being different. So because we live in the society that we do, what about if you're depressed, or what about if you're anxious or have a learning difficulty, or if you have Down syndrome, for example, which I don't think is a physical thing. It's to do with chromosomes, but I think it's more to do with a learning disability than necessarily a physical disability. I don't know enough to be sure, and obviously correct me if I'm way off the mark. So there are conditions that you inherit that are to do with your brain not working as well as other people's brains. Even I do this by saying a work ethic. I think to some extent a work ethic is an inherited thing. Some people just find working hard. Maybe it's concentration, maybe it's the physical effort, maybe it's confidence. Whatever the reason why you might find work hard, that doesn't mean that you should be denied the right to work. Maybe it just means you haven't found the right job. Maybe you haven't got the right support to do the job. So I would extend the support for people with differing physical abilities to people with different mental abilities as well. This brings me closer to this job, because this job for me is brilliant for someone with my kind of characteristics and my kind of temperament and my kind of intellect and my kind of personality. And I'm not going to go into all those things now as to why it's good, because I've said that in my other videos. And in my future videos, I'll go into that more in future videos as to why it's good. And other people have said videos and expressed why it's a good job for them. So I want to kind of talk about understanding people's differences, and that we have the right to earn money if we want to. We shouldn't judge people on our own standards and our own abilities because we're all unique people. And this brings me to my final point in this bit. If you cannot find employment that suits your abilities, be that physical or intellectual abilities, and obviously when I say abilities, I'm saying here things that society would think as being good abilities, as well as things that society think as being negative abilities. So I just think of all abilities, they make up a person, and society judges those as being good or bad, and I think that's a bit silly really. They're just who you are. And if you start thinking you're good or bad because of your abilities, well, that's, I think, not the right way to go. And even worse, if you're underconfident or you're easily persuaded and you get told by the people to think about certain things a certain way, then that's even worse, that you're being persuaded by the people that you're not worthy of a job or you can't do X, Y, Z. If you want to do something, go and do it. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. I think it's much better that you try and do things you love, you're passionate about, and you fail, than you never try at all. Or even better than that, you try, you fail, you try again. You fail, you try again. You learn from your mistakes, and you try again. So I've just picked up there the idea of lifelong learning, which is something I said right at the start. Anyway, the point I was going to say is, if you cannot find employed work, what people can do, and often then do end up doing, is creating your own job. And that is what I think brings me back to this work. It's the realisation that this is a job that I do by being self-employed. I have created my own work, my own employment, by being self-employed. And that has got rid of all the issues about my differing abilities that had the employment work had. Now I'm aware that you can be a same-day courier being employed or self-employed. There's loads of ways of doing it. You could be employed as a multi-drop same-day courier by one of the big national providers, or a same-day delivery business delivery person like I do. Or you can be employed or self-employed in either way. So to round off, if you've got differing abilities and you do this as a self-employed job, that's the way you can solve some of the societal problems about not getting the work that you enjoy doing. And in future videos, what I will talk about is what it means to be self-employed, because there's a certain way of thinking about working as a self-employed person. If you've never used to it, you need to think differently. And I think some of the questions I've seen asked, and some of the questions that I would have wanted to know when I was before I started, come from a mindset of someone who's employed. And some of those questions you'd answer yourself if you thought about this in terms of, oh, I'm self-employed now, I'm going to control my destiny, I'm going to make sure I find the work, I'm going to get out there and grow a business. So I have brought this back around eventually to something more relevant to these videos, and I hope it all made sense, that sort of round journey. But I'm realising that a lot of what I want to say to you in these videos, and I said at the start, there are threads that link them all together, and I don't quite know what all the threads are right now, but once I've done all the videos and thought of all the things I want to say, when I look back I think there'll be some tangible things I can draw out and say, look, this is the things that are in common. And one of them I'm saying right now, I know, is lifelong learning. It's learning from mistakes. That's definitely one of the things that I knew from the start, right from the start. Okay, that's I think it for today. Oh yeah, but yeah, a couple of small things. I miss not working. It's really stupid. I love this job so much that at the weekends, I do other stuff at the weekends. I'm very busy, but Monday comes around and I think I can't wait to go to work. And it's not so much I'm looking forward to it, it's more when I get in my van and I'm off to my first job. So I'm doing the first job of the day. I'm thinking, this feels right, this feels like a really good way to spend my time. And it's really hard to get that across to someone who's not doing the job, or who's doing the job and doesn't like it. And I think that this is going to be with me for years. I might prove myself wrong, but I think that it's something that feeling of satisfaction is always going to be there. And that's how I think I know I've found the right job for me. My Monday mornings, I'm excited to do my work, whereas in the past, I've been dreading the Monday mornings. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Very grateful for you listening to another video. I hope you're well. What have you learnt?